Seth freaking Rollins says he does not want to see CM Punk return to WWE, warning the former AEW World Champion to stay away, describing him as a cancer in the process. Nia Jax returned to WWE at the Royal Rumble last night, but what is her status with the company? We've got details on that. Another return at the Royal Rumble saw Pat McAfee return to commentary. We've got details on just how far WWE went to keep his return a secret. Gallows and Anderson returned to WWE late last year. We've got details on the length of their new WWE contracts. Logan Paul has also commented on his return at the Royal Rumble last night. Speaking of the Rumble, there was high praise for several superstars coming out of last night's show. Cody Rhodes has revealed when he was officially cleared to compete in the Royal Rumble match after making his return in a winning effort in the Men's Royal Rumble yesterday. Triple H has also commented on Cody Rhodes' victory and future creative plans, and Sonia DeVille suffered a nasty cut at the Royal Rumble last night. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of World Wrestling Entertainment. And let's start off talking about Seth Rollins and this person. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's called CM Punk. Bit of a controversial figure, bit of a lightning rod. There might have been a couple of stories about him here and there over the past 12 months. Of course, I'm being sarcastic. One of the most polarizing names of all of pro wrestling. His current status in AEW is unknown. It's led to some speculating that among the wave of people returning to WWE under the Triple H regime, could CM Punk possibly be the biggest name set to return after walking out of WWE in 2014? Well, in a recent interview, Seth Rollins has made it clear he does not want to see CM Punk back in WWE. It was certainly comments prior to the Rumble yesterday that got a lot of people talking on social media. Now, talking to Wrestling Inc. on Saturday morning at the WWE 2K23 event prior to the Royal Rumble, Rollins was asked about some free agents and whether he would like to see them back. One name was CM Punk, and he had some very interesting comments that he made about the former WWE champion.
Well, I know you're a Midwest boy with ROH roots. We don't know what's going on with CM Punk, but you guys have had some barn burners in WWE. Would you like to see Phil Brooks back in WWE?
Oh, Philly Phil, stay away. Stay away, you cancer. Get away from me forever.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I don't like Phil. I don't like Phil. He's a jerk. Oh, did we just figure that out? No, everybody in the room is like, oh no, dude, did he say that? Yeah, no, he's a jerk. Come on, we figured it out over there. We knew it over here. I don't want him back. Go do something else. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
That's a heck of a look for Seth Rollins there, isn't it? I guess when in Texas, but whether or not he actually means it, whether it's legitimate, whether it's Rollins being in character, we just don't know. Now, Punk and Rollins did have a brief history in WWE as part of an angle with The Shield throughout 2013. Of course, they actually had that match while CM Punk was WWE champion and Rollins was NXT champion back in 2012. Now, as far as people that Rollins would like to see back in WWE, Rollins was more open to FTR potentially returning to the company when their deals with AEW are up in April. He called them great talents and good guys who he has a great relationship with, and he would love to see them come back. Punk, meanwhile, his contractual status with AEW is very much up in the air and currently unknown as he recovers from a torn triceps injury he suffered at last September's All Out pay-per-view. Now, Dave Meltzer had previously reported that there were talks of a buyout after the post-All Out brawl between himself, Ace Steel, Kenny Omega, and the Young Bucks, but news on that front has now been quiet. You've had the likes of FTR's Dax Harwood say on his podcast that he hopes Punk and the Elite can put their issues aside and they can work together and they can make money. Something that CM Punk seemingly appears to be open to, according to his Instagram stories. We've also seen him post pictures of him training, possibly for an in-ring return. However, when talks of the buyout of his contract first emerged, there were reportedly hold-ups over a non-compete clause, a clause that Tony Khan wanted, but CM Punk didn't. That led to some to speculate that maybe Punk wanted, or was at least open, to a return to WWE. How popular that would be with the WWE locker room, though, well, it remains to be seen. If Seth Rollins' comments there are legitimate, maybe it wouldn't be the most popular thing in the world, but it's not about popularity in pro wrestling, it's about making money. Nia Jax is back in WWE, or she at least returned last night, but what's her status moving forward with the company? Well, at the 2023 Royal Rumble, a former champion and member of the Anoa'i dynasty made a shocking return to WWE in the titular Rumble match, just not the one the fans have been expecting. Many people expected The Rock, instead they got Nia Jax. Yes, bit of a come down. Nia Jax entered number 30, her first time back in WWE since she was released in November 2021, and according to a new item on WWE Shop, she might be sticking around for some time. WWE Shop released a new t-shirt for Nia Jax. While Jax is still listed as a WWE alumni on the company's roster page, the description of the t-shirt says Nia Jax is back. While Jax spent less than 2 minutes in the Rumble match, she made quite a statement, facing off with fellow female powerhouse Raquel Rodriguez, and then requiring 11 wrestlers to eliminate the former Raw Women's Champion. Now, before her release, Jax had asked for more time off from WWE for a mental health break. After her release, Jax had planned to start a business and grow some cool things on her farm. Jax has been an outspoken critic of WWE and professional wrestling in general during her time away. She most famously called out Wrestling Entertainment Series promotion for false promotion after WES erroneously said Jax would be at their inaugural event, when it ended up, of course, not even happening. Now, she wasn't the only person to make a surprise return at the Rumble. Former WWE superstar Chelsea Green also made her return to WWE in the match. Green has already been added back to the WWE roster page on the company's website, whereas Jax, as I mentioned, is still on the alumni part of the website. So I don't know. As I mentioned earlier on, and I mentioned last night, it was the return that nobody wanted, but whether or not she's sticking around for some time, we'll have to wait and see. Speaking of returns, Pat McAfee, one of the biggest and best returns last night at the Royal Rumble. And if it came across like it was a legitimate surprise to Michael Cole and Corey Graves, it's because it was. Mike Johnson of PW Insider is reporting that Pat McAfee's return to WWE was a legitimate surprise to just about everyone inside the company, according to PW Insider. It was kept very close to the vest in order to prevent it from leaking out. PW Insider are reporting that not even the majority of the company's production team was clued in before McAfee made his way to the ring, prompting a quick scramble to grab a new chair and headset for McAfee so he could join Michael Cole and Corey Graves on the call last night. PW Insider is also told that Cole and Graves were not clued in as they are prepared to call the show alone themselves last night. Their reactions to McAfee's return were very much a legitimate surprise. Now, there's no word yet on whether McAfee's return will lead to him being back on SmackDown Weekly, or again, if that's going to wait a little bit longer and it was just a one-off. Of course, we know that he is going to be returning to SmackDown once his College Game Day duties with ESPN finish up. But again, we don't know when that's going to be in terms of his return to the blue brand. But what a breath of fresh air. And that's not to say that Corey Graves and Michael Cole are a bad announce team, because they're not. But Pat McAfee's just Pat McAfee. Some of his one-liners last night were so great. And it did feel a bit awkward when he came out, because they had to get a chair and they were scrambling and people were like, get a mic, get a headset and all that kind of stuff. And that's because legitimately they didn't know he was coming out. And when he's just there doing the commentary, it's not the most in-detail play-by-play call, but it's just having that personality. He's this generation's Bobby the Brain Heenan for me. He's just that good. And as I mentioned last night, I thought he was absolutely fantastic, especially as his description of watching on Peacock. If you know, you know. It was absolutely fantastic. Now, the OC actually weren't at the Rumble last night. Of course, AJ Styles is currently out dealing with a broken ankle. But what about Gallows and Anderson? Well, they weren't there last night, but certainly they're going to be sticking around in WWE for a long, long time. Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows are locked up for quite some time, according to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select in a new report. Now, if you were expecting anything short-term out of the OC, Bullet Club, Good Brothers combination, that doesn't look to be the case. When asking within WWE about the length of some WWE contracts, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select has learned that many are 3-year deals expiring in mid to late 2025. So the majority of the people that came back to WWE last year or under the Triple H regime, they've signed 3-year contracts. That's not the case with the OC, according to sources familiar with the situation. Fightful was told that Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows are both under 5-year WWE contracts that have them set to stay with the company until late 2027. Why 5-year contracts? Well, when Fightful asked about why the deals were longer than others that they'd heard about, one higher-up said that Triple H had helped negotiate their decision in 2019 to stay with the company over the likes of AEW, New Japan, and Impact, and felt badly that they were released prematurely. Of course, we know the story, it's infamous, but there was a lot of heat over that situation. In 2019, AJ Styles and the Good Brothers, their contracts were coming up. They were thinking about going to AEW. Of course, they've got huge amounts of relationships with a lot of people in AEW. The Young Bucks had made a big play to bring them all in. As legend goes, the closing moment of the first episode of Dynamite on TNT was meant to have the Elite facing off with AJ Styles, Doc Gallows, and Carl Anderson. That's how it was going to face off, and they were going to move off in that direction. Triple H went on the charm offensive. At the time, he was head of talent relations. In the Vince McMahon regime, he had teamed with the Good Brothers in Japan, and during that trip to Japan, he was very much on the charm offensive and said, we want to look after you. AEW's not going to be around in a few years' time. We want to take care of you and your family. They signed these huge 5-year contracts, and then, of course, what happened just, 6-9 months later, whenever it was, the pandemic hit, and the Good Brothers were first to go. And despite feeling they had all of that job security, it vanished just like that, and during a pandemic, they had to go to Impact, and then they went to AEW. Of course, now they're back in WWE, but that's because Vince McMahon isn't there and Paul Heyman isn't in charge of Raw Creative either. So Triple H reportedly felt bad about how things worked out. So to get them to come back, one, he paid them a lot of money, arguably, reportedly the biggest contract of their respective careers, and also he signed them to long-term contracts. So the Good Brothers, they're not going anywhere anytime soon, and they're being paid very, very well. Logan Paul, of course, is back in WWE, making his return last night in the men's Royal Rumble match. Logan Paul returned to action at Saturday's Royal Rumble Premium Live event, entering the ring at number 29 during the titular 30-man Battle Royale match. The YouTube social media sensation had a memorable aerial showdown with Ricochet and eliminated Seth freaking Rollins. Despite not being victorious, however, he enjoyed the experience, leading some to speculate that Logan Paul could face off against Rollins at WrestleMania this year. During an interview with WWE on Twitter, Paul shared his excitement about returning to the ring after suffering a serious injury at Crown Jewel. However, his setbacks appeared to be fully behind him, and he's happy to be back in the WWE fold, saying, quote, "I'm obviously an outsider. All of this is insane. All of this is insane. This is insane," Paul said. "This environment is like no other in the world. I swear to God, these fans are the best in the world. I'm working with some of the most talented people in the world. Although I didn't win, I am excited. I got back today. I was able to get the rust off from being injured, and I'm just grateful that I was able to participate a little bit." Paul also commented on the mixed reaction he received from the crowd. While he acknowledged that he's a polarizing performer, he said that he only cares about inspiring the universe to make noise. It remains to be seen what's next for Paul in WWE. He previously pitched a huge WrestleMania 39 match idea, but this interaction with Rollins at the Royal Rumble teased a showdown between the pair in the future. That previous match that he pitched was still reportedly being considered by WWE, and that was Logan Paul versus John Cena at WrestleMania. However, some are speculating that more likely it's going to be John Cena versus Austin Theory at WrestleMania, and now Logan Paul versus Seth Rollins. Again, that's far from confirmed, but if the Rumble was an indicator last night, that appears to be where WWE is going. Now, of course, last night featured some memorable moments in the Royal Rumble, one of which was Gunther's Iron Man performance, and there's been backstage praise for several WWE superstars following Saturday's Royal Rumble Premium Live event. The January 28 show was an eventful one, with Cody Rhodes and Rhea Ripley both winning the Rumble matches to earn title shots for WrestleMania 39. WrestleVotes has now taken to Twitter to reveal that WWE was happy with the event overall. Naming the stars who impressed WWE the most, WrestleVotes wrote, quote, "Asked for some thoughts after last night, source said they are happy with how both Rumble matches turned out. Gunther's performance in particular, along with Logan Paul, Ricochet's spot, quote, better than even imagined. Bloodline angle stole the show, as expected, exactly while it was last." Now, Gunther notably started the Royal Rumble as entrant number 1 and was the final man eliminated by Cody Rhodes as the American Nightmare won the match. He broke the record for the longest time in a traditional 30-man Royal Rumble bout, lasting 72 minutes in this year's match. Logan Paul and Ricochet were responsible for what many have argued to be the clip of the night, with the social media star and the SmackDown World Cup winner colliding with springboard clotheslines in midair. Of course, in the closing moments of the show, Sami Zayn turned on the Bloodline, striking Roman Reigns with a steel chair in the back before the faction attacked him in one of the most memorable show-closing angles in recent Royal Rumble history, if not ever in the history of the Royal Rumble, or actually WWE. And again, an event that is slightly interesting, that's polarized a few people, but certainly featured some incredibly memorable moments. Now, I spoke about Cody Rhodes. Obviously, he won the Royal Rumble last night, but interestingly enough, he wasn't actually cleared until the day of the show. This does line up with the previously put out their report. I think it was Sean Ross Sapp that said that as of the time that Cody Rhodes was announced for the Rumble, he wasn't officially cleared. He was partially cleared, and his ability to be cleared and wrestle in the match was all but a formality, but he wasn't actually cleared until the day of the event. Cody Rhodes has revealed when he was fully cleared for a return to the ring following his Royal Rumble victory. As I mentioned, he won the 2023 Royal Rumble match, last eliminating Gunther to punch his ticket for WrestleMania 39. This was Rhodes' first match since he underwent surgery for his torn pectoral muscle in June 2022. Following heavy speculation that Rhodes would be in the Rumble, WWE officially announced the former AEW EVP would be in the bout on the January 16th 2016 edition of Raw. Speaking with Ariel Helwani of BT Sport, Rhodes stated that he was only fully cleared on the day of the event. Discussing his recovery, Rhodes said, quote, "I went to the Performance Center. I remember I made a joke in AEW about hip toss class. I did a hip toss class. Thank God for it, actually, because I worked with, I won't say one guy's name because I don't want to blow his spot up, but I worked with Carmelo Hayes. Joe Gacy was the other guy. I don't know why I'm not crediting him. They were rough with me. They were rugged. It let me feel what I need to feel to know where to get. Excuse me. I can't wait for their opportunities to come because they are incredible wrestlers and incredible stars. That experience, I got partially cleared though through that. I was able to do what I want. My wind was good. I was training heavily with PT and an off-site team that my wife got for me. I didn't really get fully cleared until today. Looked good and everything was great, but they still had to get in there, grab it, feel on it. That's a wild situation when you've been announced for the Royal Rumble. You've seen your shirts and seen the young fans. I think it was more of a formality more than anything, but it still had me kind of shaking. WWE has been very good to me medically, very good. I'll be in PT for the rest of my life though. I've been there every week and now I just have to do preventative stuff. It changed everything about how I've trained, which is quite interesting where he talks about it being a formality. He used the exact same verbiage used that Sean Ross Sapp used. So in the future, when you hear some reports, just as I always say, be curious as to where they come from. Now, speaking of Cody Rhodes' victory, Triple H, of course, WWE's chief content officer, spoke about Rhodes' victory and credited Cody Rhodes for making such a strong comeback and in the process punching his ticket to the main event of WrestleMania. In the post-show press conference, Triple H said, quote, "I will congratulate Cody on going through what he did for all of us, for this industry, for himself. I know what that's like. I've been in that spot, unfortunately, a few different times, and I can admire what goes into it. For him to be able to turn that around and come back tonight and do what he did is amazing in and of itself. Congratulations to him punching his ticket, like he said, something no one else in his family has been able to do. But punching that ticket to the main event of WrestleMania, having that moment to be out there, stand in front of that incredible crowd and do what everybody dreams of, I believe that the people that make fun of it are the people that believe they'll never get the chance to do it. That is the point to that sign and say that you're going to WrestleMania in the main event." Triple H would go on to say he does see a great deal of Dusty Rhodes in Cody, but he also sees more in the American Nightmare, and would go as far to say that it's the greatness of Dusty Rhodes only amplified. Quote, "That's an amazing accomplishment after such an incredible setback. I can't help but when I look at him, I do see his dad. I look into his eyes and I see his dad's eyes. I see Dusty, but I see all of the best things of Dusty. Then I see something more in Cody. It's not about comparing him. I just see the greatness of his dad amplified, and that's something special. He's a special talent, a special human being, and I'm very proud of him for that." Now, again, Cody Rhodes previously said how excited he is to work under Triple H. Of course, when he got injured, it was still the Vince McMahon regime, and now it's the Triple H regime. So it'll be interesting to see how far Cody progresses under the game's tutelage. Finally, Sonia DeVille revealed she suffered a gnarly cut at the Royal Rumble. She's made some waves during her time in the Women's Royal Rumble match last night at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas. She entered at number 27, scoring 3 eliminations before she was thrown out by the new version of Asuka. She already had a SmackDown Women's Championship match booked for this coming Friday against Charlotte Flair, so it doesn't really matter too much. Having said that, she suffered one hell of a nasty cut on her head during the bout. She revealed on social media that she is a beast. Now, some stitches will fix that right up and she'll almost be certainly good to go for a match against Friday. Nevertheless, a nasty cut, but glad that she's okay. But there you go, guys. That's the latest WWE news for you. Be sure to smash the like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right hand corner. Let me know your thoughts on today's WWE news stories in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.